it's Annabelle and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be unboxing another parcel of unicorns that I received from eBay this time. So this is from a French nursery that I've never used before. I'll put the eBay name down below and I'll link their eBay page as well. And they had some super cheap orchids, really massive selection. A lot of them were bids, but there were some buy it nows and they were all really cheap and they look quite big. So I just thought, I've never used them before, I've never even seen them before to be honest, I'll give them a go. Now here, so this is part 2 of my sort of special orchid unboxings. There's not that much that's particularly rare in here, but just some really interesting species that I wanted to try, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to get started with unboxing. I've also currently soaking my other orchids that I got from the part 1 of my orchid hauls that I did in a premiere stream, and this is also going to be a premiere, so you know the drill, a live chat and comments, so we can talk about each orchid as they come out of the box. So I've got some little containers waiting, and I'm going to soak each orchid as it comes out in, because I'm going to do like a mass repot today as well, which I will film. So let's get to unboxing. So this one was tracked, sent by the French Postal Service. They shipped out pretty quickly, which is good. It took just over a week to arrive. It's pretty standard, to be honest. Europe to the UK, it's usually about a week from shipping date. Sometimes it's a bit less, depends on the courier. I think I've chosen the right way to open it because I can see an invoice. Packed quite well inside there, lots of paper again. Oh, always a bonus. I love these. I love hanging orchids off the sides of shelves with those. They're not that easy to get on their own. You usually have to buy them on like eBay. So they're packed very carefully, as you can see, and there's scrunched up paper to pad them, but then also around the leaves we've got shredded paper as well. I prefer paper to like the packing peanuts, because the packing peanuts kind of get everywhere, and also the polystyrene, so they're pretty bad for the environment. At least paper you can put in recycling. Ooh. So I can tell what this is before even looking at the tag. I ordered another Aridus species that I don't have. I've got a lot of Aridus. I really love them. They're fragrant, they are moisture loving, they're fast growing Vandaceous species. Not Vandas, but they grow a lot faster and they love potting a lot more than Vandas, typical Vandas. So I love Aridus because they have very little adaptation to semi-hydro. It's almost like putting a phal in semi-hydro, except they seem to take off a lot quicker. And it's just always nice having orchids that do well for you. I think part of it is picking orchids that do well for you. And it doesn't hurt that they produce massive sprays of fragrant flowers. So I think this is the Aridus falcata. I can't see a tag yet. I don't know where. I don't really want to get into taking all this off because it's going to take forever. Oh, there's a tag. So this is Aridus falcata. Looks very like the Halluciana or Haletiana, however you say it, but it's got paler flowers, but the actual structure is very similar. It's also relatively compact compared to some of the Aridas get absolutely huge, but a nice growing root tip there as well. Looks very healthy and quite a nice size. This is the orchid from the listing, I think, looking at the image. So far, quite impressed. It's quite nice that they've done that. The packing is pretty good. Some of these were like super cheap. I mean, some of them I did get outbid on, which is the annoying thing with bids. Like, you always feel a bit frustrated when the auctions are bids. Much prefer I buy it now, but the ones that I did get on bidding I got like for €8-9, which is really good. Ooh, okay, so there's a story behind this one. I have a Stylus Celestis, and I kind of messed it up. Broke a load of its roots when I repotted it, and I was like gutted and kicking myself. It was in a basket. It was doing super well, but it was drying out super quickly. It had loads of moss in the basket, but it attached itself onto the basket, and I was really careful, or I thought I was, but its roots just snapped even though I soaked it, and it's like throwing a fit. It is now growing new roots, but I actually thought it would be really interesting to have two. Because I would like to compare two different potting methods with them, because I want to get it right. And so I want to put this one straight into one of the air pots with a mix of lava and leca, which I found some of my Vandaceous types have responded like exceptionally well to. And see, I mean, I think I've just set it back because I broke a load of roots, and it is making new ones, but I just thought I would get one that was already potted. Since he had it, I wouldn't have gone looking for this, but since I was placing an order and he had one for €15, which is super cheap for a flowering size Stylus Celestis, and it looked quite big. See, it is quite big. It looks a little bit malnourished. It's quite yellow. It might just been getting lots of light though, and it does have a little flower spike there. Oh, just got paper everywhere. And it's potted in bark, which is great, because what I look for when I buy orchids, if they are Vandaceous, if I can buy them potted, that saves so much adaptation on my part, because the roots aren't going to necessarily die off. Whereas with other Vandaceous types, I've really found that timing is really critical, and a lot of the old roots can die off with some types, but not with all. And it seems to be like an aeration thing, like I've mentioned before. So I'm still kind of finding the best way to grow them in inorganic, constantly moist setups. But I think aeration is key for them. So the air pots seem, and the orchid top pots seem to be a really great thing for Vandaceous species. If you're ever struggling to get to grips with an orchid, one's just not doing well for you, sometimes I think you just need to buy a second plant and compare two different growing methods. And that teaches you a lot. This little one is so dehydrated. Little thing. Yeah, I won't spend all that time getting into it now, but Stylus Celestis with a flower spike, which is awesome. Hopefully I'm going to get loads of hydration into this and loads of nutrients into this, because it's super dehydrated and looks a bit like it could do with a bit of more nitrogen in its life. So I've got some bowls ready, so I will take these out of their packaging and soak them while we do a recap. So I can tell pretty much exactly what is what as it's coming out of the box, because they are the plants from the listings by the looks of it. So this is Renault Monajica or Monajica, however you say it. I can immediately see a beautiful little growing root tip there. It's a relatively young plant, but they can flower from this size, I believe. I only have one Renault, which is a cross between Citrina and I think it's Monajica or Monajica. Really nice healthy little plant there. So I'll pop the prices that I paid for these up on screen, because the reason I do that is not because I'm like particularly worried about price. I buy a lot of orchids, so you know, what I think price tells us is it sets like an expectation. So if I paid €5 for this versus €25, how happy am I going to be when it comes out the box if I bought it for €5 versus how happy am I going to be if I bought it for €25? So I think this was like €8 or €9. I'm very happy. If I paid a lot more, I might be expecting a bigger plant, so my expectations would be higher, and therefore I might feel a sense of disappointment. So yeah, it's just, I think price does set an expectation and a standard, and that's why I think I like to include prices when I do my unboxings, or in the descriptions, or like links to their website so you can check the prices, because I think that overall affects our assessment of how good a nursery was. If we buy something super cheap for €5 and it's not amazing, we might be like, I can rescue it, it's fine. Whereas if we paid a lot more, we might be like, well, that I paid more, I was expecting a better orchid, not particularly happy. So I think it's important to price fairly. If it's a rare species, I will pay more for a smaller plant. I completely accept that. Or if it's a very hard species to grow as well, they will also be priced higher. Or slow growers, priced higher. Completely understand that. But I just like to include like prices, because I do feel like also that can help you with judgment as to whether this was a good seller and whether you would be happy with the prices. So yeah, I don't like to moan about prices, but sometimes you're like, would have liked it to be bigger. But yeah, really happy with this. So that's the Renault Monajica. I'm not sure if the C is supposed to be like a silent, like C, but I like to think that it's Monajica, because I think that's a super cute name. But you know, we all know my pronunciations are not spot on, let's say. I'm learning, but like I don't really have time, and I don't really like to go to orchid shows and that sort of thing. I'm not a member of any orchid societies, so all my learning is done online. So when people kind of say, I had somebody saying I was saying Cattleyas wrong, and they were quite aggressive about it, and like I completely take the feedback if I'm saying something wrong, but like try and be nice. I'm young, I'm learning, I've not been growing for 20 years, and I don't go to orchid societies and speak about these things a lot, so all my learning is done through reading, and that can lead to mispronunciations, and I don't necessarily always have the time to like Google and like really try and figure out how something is pronounced. I would rather figure out how to learn it, and then like I do need to correct as I go along with pronunciations, but I don't place that higher value on it. And once you've been growing a long time, you do start to place, I think, a higher value on that and look down on people who say things wrong. But I'm not at that level, I'm not at that stage, and I'm not sure if I ever really will be that serious about it. But I do take feedback, and I do try and correct my pronunciations when it's like a glaring pronunciation error. But be nice. Like, really, does it need to involve shaming somebody for saying something wrong? I don't think so. The internet's just a kind of bad place in general, isn't it? It's good and bad. There's a lot of anger on the internet, I think. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Okay, I love this cellar. So, I have my invoice somewhere and I've kind of lost it. I think this was around €8 or €9 again. And this is I think it's Angrecum calceolus. I'll try and, yes, Angrecum calceolus. With one spike, branching, and 2 spikes, and a 3rd spike. How exciting is that? They are, I think, sequential bloomers, the calceolus. Obviously, angrecoids are usually fragrant, night scented. So yeah, I'm super happy with this. Wow. And yeah, I think this was like €8 or €9, and I think he had a few. If you want to check it out, I will link him down below. Yeah, wow. So yeah, like my expectation for an €8 or €9 orchid is like maybe half this size, and not necessarily with spikes. So as soon as the seller exceeds your expectations like that, then obviously it's like, it's pretty awesome, right? And you don't expect to get something for nothing. But I kind of think I have. That's pretty cool. I will actually send him, I think, a thank you. I'm not very good at leaving feedback on eBay, but I will definitely try and do that for this seller because, wow. Yeah. So Angrecum calceolus. Awesome. So he has some like awesome Cyclia crosses. I was not expecting a spike. Before I unwrap this, just in case I damage anything, let's just like look at this. Right. They have been flattened, but I don't know if they are just very flat blooms because of the parents. Sometimes flat blooms display better as well. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to focus on these gorgeous flowers. I'm getting a slight fragrance, but obviously they've been in shipping and they're not going to be in the best state. Awesome. I think his name is Oliver. Thank you, Oliver. That's so cool. I'm sorry, I'm over the moon. Let's carry on unpacking. So when I order orchids online, I never expect them to come in bloom, and if they do, the blooms will never last as long or be as good as ones that have bloomed in your care. And it also means that the orchid is diverting energy to flowering when we want it to be diverting energy to adjusting to our new environment and adjusting if we have to repot it, which I will. This one's looking pretty shriveled. So I will be giving that a nice soak, and I'll probably have a full day's soak for all of these in their nutrient mix while I repot the other orchids. So that I ordered 2 Cyclia crosses which are very similar. They were cheap, and I wanted to see the bloom difference because they do have different parents. Ones are called, I think they're both Cordigera crosses, and they have different, I think it's now Procyclia parents. They're both fragrant Procyclia parents, quite famously fragrant. So I actually want to see which one this is. Just got to be super careful because there are loads of roots coming out there. He's gone to all the effort packing it well, so I don't want to just chop through all the new roots. So this is Procyclia Purple Lace, and I will pop up the parentage on screen because we've got another one coming which is basically the same but slightly different parents, and I wanted to see how that affected the blooms. Just give you a quick preview of loads of roots coming. So this dehydration will be fixed very easily. We've got loads of roots in there. It just needs a good soak. He's let them obviously dry before shipping. To be honest, I think it probably is better shipping them dry. We have quite hot temperatures at the moment, but just, yeah, it's really difficult. And having shipped orchids recently myself, I can fully appreciate now the difficulties in packing orchids. So even better to have them in such good condition. Awesome. My goodness, that's 3 blooming orchids so far. This just never happens to me. So much packing. We're on the last orchid now. Looks like a mouse has nested in the box. They haven't, that's just all the paper. I mean, the amount of shredded paper. Jeez. Had a spike, looks like it's broken, totally fine, new growth's coming. Big plant. Wow. So this is basically the same cross. Try and get in to show you. Look how dirty my hands are, there's like bark everywhere. So this is Procyclia Purple Streams. And these are both hybrids that have flowered before, and there are images on Orchid Roots. So I will pop some pictures up on screen. But they're all taken from Orchid Roots. Oh dear. So I've got a new growth here, and then also a new growth here. Loads of roots. This pot is tiny for this orchid. But yeah, this is really cool. Had a spike here, which it looks like probably before shipping because there's no remnants of a spike. Looks like that's been damaged. So yeah, this is pretty awesome, isn't it? So that's Procyclia Purple Streams. New root tips have dried as they're emerging though, so probably, obviously because it's like leaning over the pot, they've probably encountered a very hot, dry environment and not progressed their root tips. So need to address that with potting. It looks like a little bit of a climber as well, so probably pot it on an angle so it can get new root tips down into the media. So I'm just going to clear this all away and pop them into some little bowls to soak, and then we'll do a little roundup of my haul. So I'm just taking these out of their packaging to pop them in pots to soak, and what I'm going to do for the Aerides falcata is literally just out of its pot and then get rid of the bark before I soak it, so it fits better into this bowl. I wanted to record me doing that though, because I'm going to be recording these repots, and I just think it's valuable for you guys to see that. It wasn't hard to get out of the pot. This one, it looks like it's been kept hanging. Roots are all dry, so we'll give them a soak, rehydrate it. So I will be right back. Okay, so these guys are all soaking in their little bathtubs. I thought it would be quite handy to actually show you the root systems as well. So I thought I included it on this video rather than on the repotting video, as well as. So, sharing a tub, we have the Angrecum calceolus. Has a really great root system. And the Renault Thera Monajica. And got a growing root tip there. A couple of growing root tips coming off there. It's not going to focus on them. And also that growing root tip there. So it's not got the most massive root system. It looks like it could be a division from a larger plant, possibly, but that's a good enough place to start, I think, for us, for that price. So they are both great. Then we've got the Procyclia purple streams. I'm trouble holding this up, but really great root system there. The reason I like taking them out of the bark like straight away is just because while I'm unpacking stuff, it's just easy to just take them out of the pot, shake the bark off, and then I can just throw it all into throw the bark into the borders and take the paper out and put it in recycling, but it's just contained that way, which is why I like to do it that way, which is why sometimes you don't see me repot stuff, because I'm just like unpack, repot, done. Yeah, sometimes I'll wait. It depends on the situation, on how healthy the orchid is and the root system it's got. Either way, I always soak it for at least a day to try and get in a seaweed and rain mix solution, to try and get loads of nutrients and push it into active growth, basically give it everything it needs, because when you repot, there's always a chance that you're going to lose the old root system. So if you've already given it a good soak, you're giving it like a head start to push out new roots. Often it doesn't happen, often you don't lose the old root system, but it's covering your bases if you do. And this one is the Wrinkle Stylus Celestia with its little spike. And just to show you the root system. Not massive, but it's reasonable, and we have active growing tips, which is everything you can ask for really when you're repotting an orchid. Then we have the Procyclia purple lace. I'm not sure if I said the other one was purple lace or purple streams. The other one was purple streams. The purple lace is the one that came in flower there. Gorgeous lip, really Cordillera influenced. Good little root system there too. And the Aerides falcata. Awesome root system, really happy. This one's just going to go straight into a semi-hydro type setup, and the Aerides all just love it. So yeah, I love Aerides. What can I say? They're easy to grow as well, almost just like a Phalaenopsis. So I would definitely recommend. I think they're a bit underrated. If you're getting into Vandaceous types for the first time and you've had success with Phalaenopsis, I would strongly recommend getting an Aerides and just kind of keeping it in a very similar setup, because they seem pretty bulletproof to me. They like it hot and they like a lot of nutrients. They're very fast growing. but that's great for me. I love that sort of checklist of requirements, because that's the kind of conditions that I grow in. They're constantly moist, loads of nutrients, and I try and keep things pretty warm. Although in the UK it's not massively hot, the conservatory is a pretty good environment, I think, for Vandas and Phalaenopsis types. So if anything, they should improve with that if I can just keep up with watering. So that is my little haul from the eBay seller. I think it's Olivia46. I'll put that down below, and I'll put it linked in the description, because I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with the value for money, and I've got some really nice interesting species and hybrids here that I think this is probably, this is the best haul I've had in a while in terms of health and my expectations and what I've actually got for what I paid. So I'm pretty happy. Let me know what you think. Be really interested to hear if you've ever used the eBay seller before, if anyone's in Europe. I've never seen them before. And let me know what you think of the haul. And thank you so much for watching. And I'm going to be doing a marathon repotting video soon, so stay tuned for that. Let me know what you thought of this haul down below. And we've probably been chatting along with this. And it's been really great chatting with you over this and the last premiere streaming. I thank you guys so much for watching today, and if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like or subscribe to my channel for more regular orchid updates, and I will see you guys all later. Bye!